Ladies and gentlemen, if you're over 40 or even closing in on it, you've probably noticed this slow, almost imperceptible loss of strength. Maybe it's harder to open a jar or you feel weaker climbing stairs. It's not just aging, it's disuse. But the good news, one simple daily habit can reverse it. Today, I want to give you something actionable, not motivational fluff, a protocol backed by biology that reclaims muscle strength and resilience without spending hours in a gym. Consistency beats intensity. This is not just a motivational phrase, it's a principle rooted in biology, behavior, and neuroscience. When it comes to rebuilding muscle strength, especially after 40, many people fall into the trap of thinking they need to replicate the workouts of their youth, heavy weights, high volume, long sessions. But what actually creates sustainable change in muscle function and strength is not how hard you train once. It's how often you send a signal to the body to stay strong. Every time you move with intention, whether that's a set of squats, a push-up, or holding a plank, you're sending a signal through your nervous system to activate and maintain neuromuscular pathways. These pathways begin to degrade with age, not just because of biology, but because they're no longer being used with regularity. Muscles don't simply atrophy because of time, they atrophy from lack of demand. The antidote isn't a heroic gym session once a week. It's showing up daily, with a practice that's short, manageable, and repeatable. Think of it like language. If you study a new language for 5 hours one day a week, you'll make far less progress than if you spend just 20 minutes a day every day, reinforcing that knowledge. Muscle memory, neuromuscular coordination, and strength work the same way. A daily input, even at low intensity, primes your motor system to stay online. Over time, that builds capacity not just in your muscles but in your ability to engage them when needed. This doesn't mean intensity has no role. It does. But intensity without consistency is like sprinting with no direction. You may get exhausted, but you won't necessarily get results. The goal after 40 is to move in a way that maintains high-quality output without overstressing joints, ligaments, or recovery systems. That means your daily habit, your consistent ritual should focus more on form, control, and activation than on chasing fatigue. You're training for longevity, not just volume. There's also a psychological advantage to daily, consistent action. Habits form through frequency, not force. When movement becomes part of your identity, something you do every day like brushing your teeth, it stops requiring motivation. It becomes automatic. And that's powerful. Because most people don't fail from lack of ability. They fail from inconsistency. By lowering the barrier to entry, shorter sessions, simple movements, no equipment, you remove friction, and what's left is an architecture for lasting strength. Ultimately, the body thrives on rhythm. Hormonal cycles, circadian rhythms, recovery, and stress response all are optimized through routine. A consistent movement practice acts like a metronome for your physiology. It tells your muscles, your brain, and your endocrine system, we are still adapting. We are still in motion. We are still capable. So if you want to rebuild strength like you're 40, maybe even better than you were at 40, don't focus on doing more. Focus on doing it again and again. The signal you send today matters, but only if you send it tomorrow too. As we age, one of the most overlooked aspects of strength decline is not muscle loss itself, but the weakening of the connection between the nervous system and the muscle. This relationship, what we call the neuromuscular connection, is foundational to strength, coordination, balance, and control. It's not just about how much muscle you have, it's about how well you can access and activate that muscle at will. The good news is that this connection can be reawakened and even strengthened with intentional daily practice. In youth, this connection is strong and responsive. The nervous system quickly recruits the necessary motor units, clusters of muscle fibers controlled by a single nerve to generate force. Movements feel natural, fluid, and precise. But over time, especially with a sedentary lifestyle or inconsistent training, these motor pathways degrade. Muscles don't just atrophy, they fall asleep, in a sense. The signals from the brain to the body become slower, less coordinated, and less reliable. And when you lose that connection, strength disappears faster than muscle mass. This is why rebuilding strength after 40 isn't just a matter of lifting heavier weights. It's about training the nervous system to talk to the muscle again. That requires focus, intentional movement, and consistency. You're essentially rewiring circuits, reactivating dormant motor units, and re-establishing that mind-muscle link. This is not hypothetical, it's observable in EMG studies, which show improved muscle activation following consistent, low-volume, high-focus training routine. Exercises that promote neuromuscular reconnection are often deceptively simple. Think slow, controlled reps, holding the top of a contraction, engaging your core deliberately, moving with precision instead of speed. Resistance bands, body weight holds, and isometric contractions are powerful tools for this. Because they demand attention and control, they force your nervous system to refine the recruitment patterns that may have degraded over the years. Another important factor is proprioception, the body's ability to sense its position in space. This sense fades with age but can be revived through balance work, single leg movements, and mindful mobility drill. When you rebuild proprioceptive awareness, you're training your brain to map your body more accurately, leading to better movement quality and greater functional strength. Neural adaptation also occurs much faster than muscular hypertrophy. Within a few weeks of consistent practice, people often feel stronger not because their muscles have grown dramatically, but because their nervous system has become more efficient at engaging the muscle fibers they already have. This is encouraging because it means progress can happen quickly and feel significant, even early in the process. Reconnecting with your muscles is not just about physical performance, it's about confidence, control, and vitality. Movements like standing from a chair, lifting a suitcase, or catching yourself from a fall all rely on that rapid, precise communication between brain and body. And that communication can be retrained at any. So if your goal is to rebuild strength, not just bulk or aesthetics, start with your nervous system. Teach it to speak clearly to your muscles again. That connection is your foundation. And when it's strong, everything else follows. One of the most effective yet underutilized methods for rebuilding muscle strength after 40 is what can be called time-restricted movement practice. The idea is simple: commit to a focused 10 to 20-minute window each day, where you perform intentional, strength-focused movement. This practice is not about burning calories or chasing exhaustion. It's about sending a daily, high-quality signal to your muscles and nervous system that strength still matters. What's powerful is that this small investment of time done consistently compounds dramatically over weeks and months. The reason this works so well comes down to how muscle and neural tissue respond to stimulus. Your body doesn't care how long you train, it cares about how often and how precisely you stimulate the muscle fibers and motor unit. A short daily bout of movement, especially when done with focus and correct form, can engage a high percentage of muscle fibers, including ones that are rarely activated in day-to-day life. Over time, this reawakens dormant motor units and encourages hypertrophy even without lifting heavy weights. This practice works best when the focus is on low-volume, high-quality reps. That means slow tempo, full range of motion, isometric pauses, and conscious muscle engagement. Movements like slow push-ups, split squats, resistance band rows, and wall sits become highly effective when performed with intention. The limited time window forces precision. You're not rushing through a checklist, you're building neural and muscular control rep by rep. Why does this matter more as we age? Because time and recovery capacity become limited resources. Long workouts that demand excessive recovery can actually hinder progress if they prevent consistency. Time-restricted movement allows you to train daily without overtraining. Because the volume is moderate and recovery is built into the structure, you maintain daily muscle activation, but without causing central fatigue or joint inflammation that might derail your routine. There's also a cognitive advantage. When you designate a specific time each day for movement, even just 15 minutes, it becomes a habit loop, a neurological cue that tells your body it's time to engage. Over time, this builds not just physical strength, but behavioral resilience. You no longer rely on motivation. The practice becomes automatic. Physiologically, this daily dose of strength-focused movement supports hormonal balance as well. It stimulates a mild but consistent release of growth hormone, improves insulin sensitivity, and helps regulate cortisol levels. The shorter duration helps avoid spikes in stress hormones that often accompany longer, exhaustive workouts, which is crucial for those over 40 whose recovery systems may be more sensitive. This time-restricted approach also creates a low barrier to entry. You don't need a gym. You don't need fancy equipment. All you need is a timer, a few square feet of space, and a plan. Done consistently, this method builds strength in a way that is sustainable, efficient, and remarkably effective. In a world obsessed with doing more, this practice reminds us that doing better, more focused, more intentional, more consistent, is what truly moves the needle. 10 to 20 minutes a day, that's the habit. That's the reset. Daily resistance training does more than build muscle. It acts as a hormonal and neurological reset for the aging body. After 40, the biological systems responsible for strength, vitality, and mental sharpness begin to downshift. Testosterone levels gradually decline, growth hormone secretion reduces, and neurochemicals that support learning, mood, and coordination begin to taper off. But one of the most effective ways to push back against this decline is by creating a daily ritual of resistance-based movement. Even short sessions done consistently trigger powerful internal changes that go far beyond the physical. When you engage in resistance training, even simple bodyweight movements or band work, you stimulate the endocrine system in a way that is highly adaptive. Studies show that brief, intense muscular contractions signal the pituitary gland to release growth hormone, a critical factor in tissue repair, fat metabolism, and cellular rejuvenation. Unlike long-duration cardio, which may increase cortisol if overdone, resistance training done in moderate daily doses actually helps balance cortisol levels, making you more resilient to daily stressors. Testosterone, another key hormone that naturally declines with age, also responds positively to resistance work. While heavy lifting in the traditional gym sense can certainly spike testosterone, what matters even more is consistency. Daily resistance activity, especially when it involves compound movements and progressive overload, sends a repeated message to the body that strength is required. And the body, remarkably adaptive, responds by adjusting its hormonal output accordingly. You might not achieve the hormonal profile of a 25-year-old, but you can optimize your existing endocrine function to remain vibrant and strong. But the benefits don't stop with the body. Resistance training also triggers powerful changes in the brain. One of the most important neurochemicals released during and after strength-focused movement is brain-derived neurotrophic factor, or BDNF, often referred to as fertilizer for the brain. BDNF supports neuroplasticity, the brain's ability to grow new neurons, form new connections, and protect existing brain cells from age-related decline. This is especially crucial as we get older, when cognitive function often begins to slow. Resistance training becomes not just a way to maintain muscle, but a way to preserve memory, sharpen focus, and boost mood. There's also a neural feedback loop that's created when you move against resistance with purpose. Every time you perform a controlled repetition, your brain refines the neural circuitry involved in coordination, balance, and motor control. Over time, this leads to better posture, smoother movement, and more efficient energy use. This loop also strengthens your sense of agency, your ability to act on the world and respond to it. That sense of capability is psychologically empowering and physiologically reinforcing. The real beauty of daily resistance training lies in its ability to link body and brain through hormone signaling and neural activation. It's a daily recalibration, a way to tell your system, we're still in the game, we're still adapting. You don't need long workout. You need frequent signals, short, intentional, and consistent. Each session becomes more than exercise. It becomes a message. And the body, when it hears that message daily, remembers how to stay strong. Rebuilding muscle strength after 40 isn't about chasing your younger self. It's about reclaiming control over your body with deliberate, science-backed habits. We've been taught to believe that aging means inevitable decline, but that's only true in the absence of consistent action. The daily habit of focused resistance movement, just 10 to 20 minutes, isn't just a workout. It's a reset button for your nervous system, your hormones, and your confidence. We now know that consistency beats intensity. It's not the occasional big effort that rewires your system. It's the small, repeated actions that form your new baseline. By reestablishing the neuromuscular connection, you wake up dormant muscle fibers and restore the coordination that gives you strength, balance, and agility. This is the foundation of functional longevity. Time-restricted quality movement creates sustainability. It removes the friction of overcomplicated routines and replaces it with a clear, focused practice. And the biological response: increased growth hormone, optimized testosterone, and elevated BDNF, all signaling the body and brain that you're still adapting, still evolving. So this is your invitation, not to work harder, but to work smarter. Start with 10 minutes. Make it daily. Make it intentional. Stack it into your routine like brushing your teeth. Over time, this habit becomes your anchor, keeping you grounded in strength, clarity, and vitality. You don't have to feel like you're in decline. You don't have to accept weakness as normal. You can rebuild, rewire, and your body is listening. What matters now is the signal you send every single day. Start small, stay consistent, the strength will follow. The truth is, you don't need a 90-minute workout to feel strong again. You need 20 minutes of presence daily. This is about reclaiming agency, sending a message to your body, we're not done yet. Rebuilding muscle isn't just about looking younger, it's about moving through life with power, grace, and purpose. Start today, start small, and keep going. Your body is listening. Thank you.